So I'll call this meeting the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors order for, it's almost at Monday, Tuesday, May 27th. And would entertain a motion to acknowledge the minutes of
519, so moved.
Second.
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right. Hey, Dave, what's going on in your world?
Almost nothing.
Almost nothing, huh?
We, I don't, we've heard back from Glass and Door. I'm unaware of it, so we're still looking for that.
They were supposed to send it, told me he was gonna send it Wednesday, I never got it yet, so I'll follow up today.
Okay, all right. I'd like to see a copy of that, so I get a chance to look it over before we meet. Absolutely nothing else. We're replacing a fan in the bathroom, which serves the handicap and men's bathroom. It's not working, so we're having to replace the motor.
Oh, I see Abby's got the air conditioner all tore up over there in her office. Are we gonna, they gonna fix that anytime soon?
They're supposed to do that this week.
Okay,
Yeah, I've been tearing those things off and putting them back behind them, so. Yeah, this week we're supposed to get those done. All works out well, they should be done by the end of the week.
okay. And anything for Dave?
Nope. Perfect.
All right,
Later.
thank you, sir.
Yep, perfect.
Dwayne,
You just need to do the minute?
we did.
Oh, okay.
Susie was so fast, made your head spin.
All right.
Yeah.
See, I thought I missed that. All right,
We'll go back and do them if it's,
no,
okay.
that's all right. Libertyville Road, they got one bridge rail done last week. They started forming the other. They hope to pour that on Thursday this week. That would get us a long way towards it's done, just have the clean up underneath the bridge, because they had that temporary haul route, so they've got to get that redone, graded. So we're well ahead of schedule. I'm not gonna tell you when I hope to be done, but we're ahead of schedule.
So just real quick, I noticed that they've set the barricades to the side. It says road closed through traffic or something to that effect, but I'm just wondering if people are taking advantage of the fact that the barricades are set to the side.
Don't seem to be, we haven't, most of the people are pretty well trained now to go around, local folks. When they're getting the cement trucks in and out, it's beneficial to have that. I'll mention it to Thomas to make sure that just because most people are following procedure doesn't mean everybody is, so I'll mention it to Thomas.
So is they running ahead of schedule then on the?
Yeah, that letting them have that winter work really allows for an earlier completion, because they didn't need to start until, I want to say, April 1st.
Oh,
So we did not count working days from November 15th till April 1st. So that was all what they call it, free winter work. It's something the DOT started doing a number of years ago, just for projects like this. It allows for, the early clearing and grubbing, as much site work as Mother Nature allows. And we had a fairly mild winter, so they got a lot done.
good.
It shortens the window. And a lot, and for the contractor, it allows them to get 2 projects in a year as opposed to just one. So it's kind of helps everybody. And you've got more or less the same inconvenience to the public. So we've got one bridge rail down, one to go. They're up, Norris is up on 1/10 placing stone for LL Pelling from Pleasant Plain over to Highway 1. They may get it done today if the weather allows, or at the very least, they should have that finished tomorrow so we can get the chip seal work started on that. And from 1/10, they should go down to Lockridge and try and get that finished up. As long as we don't get too much rain again to make those shoulders soft. we found some areas after that rain that after they're done, we'll have some extra additional ditch work to do. On that,
In Lockridge.
in Lockridge, yeah, from Lockridge East. Then they're going to redo the culvert on Velvet Leaf north of the railroad bridge, the one that washed out here earlier this year. And we found out that the bottom was all rotted out of it, so we've got a tank car that will be delivered today or tomorrow, so we'll start work on that Thursday, we hope. And then we're looking at, after that, going to 165th to get working on that pipe, and I think
Oh, was that a pipe or just a
it's a
cement thing?
it's a twin tank car.
It's been in the works for the last 15 years.
Well, I don't know.
We could probably wait a couple
Getting in a hurry.
more.
Well, you know, all good things come to those who have patience.
Well, good, thank you.
Now, what's another 15 years?
And then,
After I retire and don't need it anymore,
That's
then
right,
I'm gonna
yeah.
fix it.
well, yeah, it's all about the children. Then we will probably go ahead and do ginkgo. You know, you'd mentioned the farm service that had that anhydrous tank that they were looking to sell. And our guys are just leery as heck is cutting that thing, you know, with the possibility of exposure to the vapors without totally filling the thing with water and flushing it. We don't
Yeah,
have.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, we did a little YouTube video searching on people that and they have a lot more equipment that's geared towards that than we do. And farm service just wants it to go
Once
away.
it gone,
You
okay.
know, they can hire a demo guy who'll come in with they'll open the bungs and they'll take an excavator and smash it and haul it off and not be exposed to the fumes, as opposed to if the guys are right up close and personal cutting on it. It's not probably, you know, without flushing, it's probably not a safe operation.
Probably so, just a thought.
Yeah, well, no, I appreciate it. And I was all gung ho, you know, you were gonna save
Yeah.
$11,000, no, almost $20,000, because I think we were gonna get that thing for under 5, and to buy a tank car is 20, so you know, 15 grand savings, but it's not worth risking somebody's health.
Nope, absolutely.
Then I received an email from Jake with BNSF. He asked me to give him a call when I have a chance to discuss the decommissioning of the Velvet Leaf Railroad overpass. So see what they think that is worth as a benefit, dollars and cents wise, if it makes sense for us to vacate that and take a big check from them. It kind of depends what they offer and what the public thinks it's worth to keep it open. And then let's see, I brought some papers with me. First one is the IDOT standard. One of the residents of Pleasant Plain, where we're going through town with rock basin and a chip seal, was unhappy with the way that looked adjacent to their concrete driveway, which came out to the road and not stop at the shoulder. And he called the office and had discussions with Thomas and Melissa, and they told him to call back the next morning, or gave him his phone number so I could call him back the next morning when I was back in, and we had a very animated discussion. He was very unhappy with my response. I think I emailed you guys to that effect. And he contacted the state ombudsman about the unfair treatment that he was getting from the Jefferson County Road Department. So the ombudsman's office contacted me, and I emailed him this IDOT standard, which on this detail shows how you treat a paved driveway when you pave next to it, and that is what we intend to do for his driveway, just like we would any other driveway in the county. So just in case somebody will contact you folks in regards to that, that's what that's about. We're not doing anything, you know, we're not trying to target this person or do anything untoward.
Was that the only one with the cement drive out to the?
I think that might be the only paved driveway on Pleasant, on 110.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it's unfortunate they're unhappy, but
Well, what, I guess apologize for not being able to get my head around this, but what was it that they wanted then?
well, they would like us to saw back the concrete driveway and re-pour the driveway to match the new roadway elevation.
I'm sorry. People in one ice water or ice cubes or whatever too.
The next sheet, Jess brought it to my attention. I guess I've known this, but I hadn't really sunk in. We do not have a 2080 agreement with the city of Fairfield for our joint jurisdiction roads. We've been horse trading over the years and we wanted to get away from that. So Jess went through and made a list of the joint roadways that we have shared maintenance on, so that I need to get with Melanie Carlson, and discuss the different roads and how we want to handle the different responsibilities and come up with the 2080 agreement that is fair for both parties. But we have quite a bit of overlap, as would be expected with the city of this size, and where we tie in with the county and the number of islands that are also in there where it makes sense for the city to take care of it because they've got both sides. And it's just a isolated. We'll be discussing that and bringing that up for your discussion sometime in the future, hopefully nearer than further. And then the IDOT is repaving, doing an overlay rehab on 78 east from Brighton. And they have offered to pave the county road approaches. They abut 78, and they've provided an estimated cost. And again, this is something just for your information. I'll get it on the agenda next week. And the argument for it is that it cuts down our exposure to highway speed traffic as we maintain those side road approaches. You know, that's one of the big issues we have on the 4-lane 34 is we're responsible up to the shoulder of the road. And it's awful tough to grade those without getting your equipment out into the traffic. So I wish that the county, maybe at that point in history, the DOT didn't offer doing that work, but you know, from a safety standpoint, it's pretty inexpensive. It's not cheap. It's best part $80,000 to do it, but it limits your exposure to possibility of loss of life, equipment, injury.
And you're saying for this project, the 4 intersections be $80,000. Gee whiz.
Yeah, it's not cheap. But, and you know, it's not that we spend a lot of time and effort on those. But every time you're up there doing that work, you're exposing yourself to the highway speed traffic.
Yeah.
And the possibility of an accident or an injury.
So if it's a safety issue, I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying, if it's a safety issue, can we access safety grants from the DOT?
We can certainly look into that. Because the deal, you know, the nice thing about this is the DOT invoices, like I used to pay my bill when I was in college, very slowly. They,
I don't know what college got to do with it.
well, when I was younger, I always had money for beer. I didn't always have
I
money
see,
for the
okay.
electric bill or that kind of water bill. But
I get it.
Priorities, huh?
yeah, something like that. But they, you know, they did Highway 1, I think in 2016, they just billed us last year for it. So they don't invoice this work till after through audit, so we have plenty of time to kind of rattle some money away in advance for that. And we're doing the same thing, I know, if you remember, we're doing the same thing on Highway 1 south of town. We approved that, I think, 2 years ago. I think they got it done last year. I expect we'll see the invoice for it the year after.
So if we, just out of curiosity, if we sign off on this as presented, does that preclude us from researching or trying to access the safety grants?
Depends what I'll have to double check on what the time frame is. Because the project, if the project's already let, we probably can't get it.
Okay.
Usually they don't want you to obligate the money before the grant's official. So the odds are very good that we cannot.
Okay.
It's also something we look at as a safety project. Paying or doing that as a separate project with safety money. I don't know if you come out ahead on it by the time you just have the contractor come in for just doing those smaller projects. As opposed to doing it at the unit price they're getting for mainline paving.
Of course, if they wait 5 years to invoice us with the way the legislature's asking, we won't have any money anyway. And we can tell them, go get it from the state.
I don't know if they come and mill it up or not. They probably wouldn't offer to do it again.
Yeah.
See, what else do I have on my list? Oh, and the guys were talking, our wonderful Volvo truck tractors that we've purchased here a few years ago. Mechanically run just fine, except for their diesel emissions fluid systems seem to be a maintenance headache on those things. We've just got the one back from Gator, the Volvo dealer in Cedar, the local Volvo dealer, Cedar Rapids. And it's already thrown a diesel emissions error code again. So Brian's going to troubleshoot and see what he can do. But Jess asked, hit me up this morning, can we buy some more truck tractors? I said, well, we can look into it, but we need a pretty good reason not to do it just right at budget season after everything's been approved. But we'll keep looking into what we can do to remedy the situation on those, but.
So is there any warranty on the work that they performed?
That's a very good question.
Well, I mean,
There should be. I mean, you would think it would run more than 10 miles after you get it back,
Yeah,
or I guess the
exactly.
70 miles to get it here and, you know, maybe 100 miles of use. So there's something wrong with that thing that it's not.
Can you fix it farmer style?
Gosh,
Eliminate it?
yes and no.
I have one
Yeah, it's,
I never
there are
thought-
some
I thought I
negative
lived for-
ramifications to doing
I've
that,
always had somebody else do it.
but. Yeah, the main one being that if you do that, they will not work on it ever again. Which
Well, it doesn't
may,
sound
which
like they
may,
know what they're doing.
which may or may not be a problem.
I was gonna say.
Uh, Yeah, we'll kick that around the office and. But yeah, yeah, well, I don't. Yeah, I didn't hear anything. Yeah, I will, keep exploring our options on those two units. So that old Kenworth that looks like the heck just keeps going up and down the road. When it does come time to replace them, we will not be shopping for Volvos.
So just a clarification. It's 38,000, right? Not 80,000.
Oh, I don't know. So looking at the wrong, maybe 80,000 is more than I believe. I just need copies today.
No. I picked up when you said 80,000. This says 38,000.
Oh, well, heck, that's just like giving it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where I got 80 in my head. Yeah,
So-
I'll get that on next week's agenda. So I just wanted you guys to have a heads up.
Be about 10,000 each. Yeah.
And that, I believe, is all I have.
Anything else for Dwayne? Discuss and consider upgrading Tamarack from level B to level A. Well, come on down.
I thought you had some secondary road employees.
Yeah, but that's after
That's
that.
further.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't look at the agenda.
Here, I'll get up. I'll sit there.
Oh, that's all right, whatever. I'd be interested to.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere. There, you guys are gonna be doing more talking than I am, so maybe I can sit over here in the shadows.
So as the board is well aware of, we opted not to upgrade Tamarack. And one of the concerns we had is we haven't heard from property owners. And they stopped in last week and we talked and recommended that they go out to the engineer's office when we talked about driveway entrances and septic systems, but they are going to establish a residence on that road. And so it's always been the policy in the past that we want to make sure that our emergency vehicles and personnel have access. In particular to residences, but we've done this in other locations as far as when there's actually, lack of a better way of putting it, action taking place on the road. So for example, when we had an individual build a barn down a dirt road a half mile, a little more than a half mile from Packwood Road. Since there was a barn down there, we rocked that road. So in this particular instance, and my comment was at the time that we did this, it did not preclude them from coming back and revisiting the issue, but I wasn't in favor of upgrading a dirt road just for the sake of upgrading a dirt road. But I'll let them speak, and any questions you all may have on this, but you want to go ahead and explain it before what it is you're going to do.
Yeah. So we appreciate your patience with us on trying to learn the hoops here, I guess. This all started pretty well towards the first of spring, and I started with the supervisor's office. Or excuse me, the engineer's office, and they did very well on explaining what they know, what for us to do. We got our forms and all the adjoining landowners signed very simply. The hardest to find was the Polishville chairman, which is out here just northwest of town or northeast of town. Wozinski, Bob Wozinski. Yeah, he was the hardest to locate. Everybody else was local. So I got the paper back to the engineer's office and yeah, that's where I didn't quite understand, and probably would have been best off to show up here. So I was just thinking, we'll just relax and things is gonna take its process and we'll get a response. That's
Mhm.
where it laid, and then through neighborhood friends and so forth, we heard about it being denied. That was kind of gossip type talk. But I had in mind to check with the engineer's office that day anyway, and I did. And the receptionist said, yes, it was, so what do I do? What did I do wrong? What should we do? That was a simple question, so she sent me to the assessors. And the other gal was there, and she said, talk with the supervisor. Actually, they also gave me the names of you three. You're the chairman, and then Susie Drish and Joe Ledger. I'm just reading how I
No, that's
decipher all
fine.
this stuff, so. And I ended up talking with Susie as she left the office here, or after she left the courthouse. And she made clear that nothing has been done wrong. Yeah, Dwayne did all his parts right. What we should have done would have been here when the public hearing was. That's where I didn't understand it. That's my own fault.
No,
And so we came in to the assessor's office with my son's father-in-law, Wesley Orr. And yeah, we are daily working on the trailer house, getting it livable. They've got like 3 homes right now, but that's the stage of life they're at.
You know, lives, I guess.
So anyway,
Yeah.
and she said the best thing to do would be come over here and talk to the supervisor, and just like that, Lee walks in. So we went across over here and had a nice good chat with him, sitting right here last week, and he said to be here. That's the long story. Yeah, I guess to review some stuff. I did talk a lot with Thomas and Dwayne on the phone earlier in the spring. Different ideas were discussed, but the bottom line was it was definitely the best idea to get Tamarack totally raised to level A. We had some details on some of the pertaining issues, and that's been progress, all that like that, so. We're still working there. Last week with the 2 inches of rain, that road was used. But a horse and buggy does better than lots of lots of tired vehicles, so yeah. Anyway, that's it.
And so Dwayne, if I recall correctly, we were talking late fall before we could get to it. Is that still, am I right?
Well, really depends how the rest of the summer, or all of the summer, since we haven't technically started it yet, how weather treats us, when we can get in there. We've got a number of projects that we need to get done, but so it will be later in the year before we get to it. Or if everything goes smoothly, it might be earlier, but I think the big issue and what you guys and I wasn't aware of for sure was that they are upgrading that property so that it can be a residence.
Yeah, they'd be there tomorrow if it'd be fit, but we're redoing the floors, windows, and siding, adding on.
A little work to do yet, so. We've got places we can camp out in the meantime, but that's probably gonna be the place, so.
So, and I have on a kind of a secondary note, for emergency purposes, I want to address the property. So do you happen to have a parcel number or whose name is the property in?
It's our name. So, yeah, I didn't bring any paperwork with me at all. Mark Monfair, it would be formerly the Clarence and Lois Anderson.
I bet Abby can find that pretty quick. So maybe that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's pretty handy that way.
And if you really want to get to it,
That's why.
Lance Engineering,
That's it.
they did the surveying for the original sale. And one proposed option on doing the sale was having that actual west section platted for a separate tract. I've got copies of that paperwork, and I talked with Lance about that here a week ago. But anyway, yeah, otherwise, yeah, it's.
Now, and again, for my purposes only, since they do the 911 signage, has a driveway been established?
Yeah, they have a driveway into the property. I'm not so sure that wasn't the existing one there when you guys purchased it, what? Or no?
No, actually, the original one that they used was like 50 or 75 yards north.
Okay.
We just took the very corner right past the bridge. In fact, we actually own the least amount of frontage of what would be gravel. All the other five, or all total 5 owners. Yeah.
So a question for you, Dwayne, this project, county has equipment to do it all, or will you have to hire
Yeah,
some,
we'll do it all in-house.
all in-house? Okay.
And it'll be, just the standard. 26-foot road top, give or take, and then 18-foot ditches on either side to get your 66.
So do we need a culvert or anything in that drive?
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be on the landowner.
okay. To foot that, you mean, and so
Mhm.
forth?
Yeah, if the driveway needs a culvert, it's the landowner's
Okay.
responsibility to put the culvert in, but all the ditching work, all the road work. The county road department is responsible for, and the landowner's responsible for their entrance and purchase of the rock for the first time through, which.
Right,
We want the culvert in before you rock it.
They'll probably have time to do it before we get to it, but they'll need to know where the ditch is going to end up before they can put the culvert in. So
that's one of the main things, if we stop right at the entrance lane that we have versus the original one, which is 75 yards further. Looking at what my simple knowledge of terrain and drainage. If we don't totally ditch that road or get it to grade further north, we'll be draining off the road into the land
Mhm.
and having a hard
Yeah,
time.
right now you're just about at the bottom of the hill, aren't you?
Totally,
Yeah, and there's
yeah,
a little waterway that runs through
yeah,
north of where your drive is.
yeah, it actually cuts straight over where we put the standpipe in now.
Yeah.
We've raised,
We'll have to look at that.
right, yeah,
Cause you might be ahead to regrade into your property.
Something.
And cut, bypass the low point and have it run adjacent to it instead of putting a pipe in. We'll look at it.
Right,
We'll
there's-
figure it out.
it needs to be some professional, better people that have. Or Leonard Grisham brought us in or somebody like that.
Don't look at me like that.
said professional, I just think it was.
We'll have Thomas figure it out. He's smart with those.
There you go.
But as far as your time frame, we're not surprised. We expected, it's not gonna be the next week or nothing like that, yeah. And that's something we'll just work with. We actually have, it's an 80-acre tract that we bought there. And, well, it was 112, so off east 32.5 acres. And it's got a diversion terrace along the whole bottom. That was built a generation or two ago. And it exits over at the east end and goes out the original farmstead, the original homestead, which is the Clarence Anderson homestead. And we do not have legal access and whatever there, yeah, for that. Our neighbor Joel lived there by himself since his mother died. It varies kind of by the day
And
on how it works to get through there, but that is another option that would be mostly dry or not as muddy to take the road. But yeah, it'll be some grading involved and stuff. It's just, yeah.
does the board have any other questions?
No. None that I can think of at this time.
So, they would make a motion to, what do you want the motion to, what do you want to do? Let me put it that way.
I'd like to put the gravel in.
Okay, is that the motion?
That is the motion.
So.
Gotta work the road,
Huh?
gotta bring the road up to grade first.
Well, if you want to go that way, we all have to do our job. And motion to have the county.
Upgrade Tamarack from
upgrade-
level B to
correct.
level A.
Correct.
Do
And
we
then
have a
put
second?
the,
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Do the emergency vehicles, I think probably a good idea to do it.
Well, they have to have access in
Yeah, have
the event
access.
that we need it. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. I won't move on the sign. I may get everything ready to go, but I won't move on the sign until you tell me it's okay to install it. And the reason being is that they have to do some ditch work or whatever. So, and I will, when I do that, you won't have to worry about anything. I'll get it and I'll either have contact information or something, some way that I can get a hold of you, let you know what your address is. And then I have some folks up by Riverside that will come out and install the sign.
Okay, this for an address, is that what you're
Yeah,
talking
for
about? Okay.
911 address.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah.
So if somebody needs to get out there, like for example, Josh, they can be directed by dispatch because it will be in our system.
I got you.
So, not a little blue sign with a number on it.
Yeah, just a plain old address.
Yeah.
Marker.
something else that
Fair
comes to
enough.
mind, putting in a residence there and stuff, you'll have to contact the county sanitarian and deal with him on that stuff. That's none of our jurisdiction. I'm just suggesting you contact him and
That's
Figure out.
Jerry Leonard or?
Jerry Leonard.
Yeah,
Yep.
we've heard of him.
Yeah, he's out in the engineer's office.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Well, is that
Alrighty.
That's good then, or-
I don't know if they need any paperwork or anything from you or.
No, all we needed was your authorization to get it in the works.
Never.
And you definitely want to, as Joe indicated, contact sanitarian because it's a lot easier to do it before the fact than it will be to do it after the fact. You know, and then there you just have a conversation and decide what it is you're going to do. That's up to you guys.
Okay.
Up to him. We're not part of that equation.
Could we, there's not like anything illegal about living there with the dirt road before it's gravel?
No,
Okay,
no.
yeah, sure. I'll have to figure that out, but yeah, if we could get it done before this winter, that'd be great,
Yeah.
so.
I haven't got parcel number, so I'll have all of that so if you, can you give me any contact information that I can?
Sure.
I can get all of the,
Down here somewhere?
yeah, that's fine.
I'll give you
And
address.
there's no charge for doing the addressing, right? So.
I see.
But he thinks he needs to know where he's going,
I
so.
mean, it helps.
Yeah.
We could just drive in circles until we get there, I guess. Might be a while.
You're with the dispatcher.
Yeah, I'm with the ambulance service, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I thought,
Yeah,
He's the last guy you want to see at his door.
right, yeah.
Are you
His
Joe?
wife said.
Yeah, I'm Joe.
Joe Ledger, gotcha.
Yeah, and I'm related to all of them out there.
Yeah, Kurt's my neighbor.
Yeah, I know.
We're working on his barn across the road right now.
Okay.
He's skinning that and Adam has cows across the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all the same clan or neighborhood, whatever. Yeah.
yep,
Oh. So he's doing that. Next on the agenda is secondary road employee wage rate and classification change. Excuse me. Rick Giverson. Pay range 12, step A. It was like 10 cents, right?
Yeah, he has his tanker endorsement and we pay the guys a dime to have a
Thanks for
tanker.
shouting.
Allows him to either run our water truck or
appreciate it.
calcium chloride.
Awesome.
Also,
Thanks for coming.
So,
I received it.
so the rate change will be
Thanks, guys.
25.45 to 25.55, and then Kenny Crump.
Who's Kenny Crump? I didn't know,
Some people know him as Bub.
well, I didn't know it was Kenny. I had no clue.
Kenneth.
Yeah.
Kenneth.
You gotta be careful there. He's one of those places on jail.
Okay. Talked to him a couple times.
Anyway, where's that at? So we're going. to 3183 from 3173, is that right?
Yep, longevity.
So I would make a motion to approve these rate increases.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I said second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Need Q-tips.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Megaphone
Shock collar.
or that.
Here's Susie.
Is that once for yes, two for no?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like everything would be no then.
That maybe people want to make it. Discuss and consider, no, wait a minute. Meet with the ambulance director. I don't know how we squeezed him in between 2 and 3, but okay. That'd be you.
That would be me. Good
You
morning.
forgot what you were here for?
I did forget what I'm here for. Been another interesting start of the week. Find my notes here. Not really a lot to talk about at this point. You do have a request, so, the dispatch center is updating their system. I don't know who wants copies. Oh, sorry. No, she wants copies. So this is the Oracle system, so the county dispatch is updating to this. Our piece of it is that we'll have an iPad or a tablet, I think it's an iPad, in each ambulance. And then we will be integrated in with the city and the county's dispatch system, on the digital side of things as well. So we'll be able to track, we'll get information, we'll be able to, they'll be able to track our location and see things, and we'll be able to communicate internally with all the other relevant services and personnel that are on that scene. So to put the system in each ambulance, have one on the base, and then iPhone access, basically for me, is 10,000 and some change. I don't remember exactly. 10,260.
So,
And that's for it's a 3-year cycle. And in that they will, I mean, it's basically 100% upkeep and updates and everything from Oracle.
So this is item,
Oh, is this on additional?
I just saw item 4 in our,
Oh, yeah, the communication system. Yeah, I'm
Now I
sorry.
have it.
I'm jumping ahead of myself.
no, it's the way it was here.
Okay.
Do you have the money in your budget?
I do, which I know that's gonna be a discussion later on, but, under the information technology hardware, I feel like that fits.
See, this is a 3-year commitment.
Mhm. Well, I mean, this is yeah, so what the upfront cost will be for 3 years. And then at that point, there's gonna be a probably renewal and I don't know what that's gonna look like yet, but I think
This-
after the
this-
initial implementation countywide.
This
um,
10,000 is for 3 years.
Yes,
You'll
yeah, so all
split it.
3 ambulances, well, I think it's an upfront cost, but that'll be all 3 ambulances and the base monitor as well.
so is this transferable from rig to rig? In other words, you buy a new rig?
Yeah, to my understanding, it's an iPad that, yeah, that we can move.
And then the other question I have is, I realize that we're talking 3 years here, but Brett, I see that you're on, I'm gonna throw you under the bus. Just in case you were wondering. Moving forward, any upgrades that we would have to do to the dispatch system, I know over the years, there's been talk about changing the communication process or whatever the, having to build towers and that sort of thing. Will this integrate with that, or we don't know, or you're shaking your head like, what the hell kind of question is that?
This has nothing to do with radio communications. So what he's asking for is to get on the CAD system, which, as you guys are well aware, because Bart was in there, our CAD supplier is going away. So we had to get on and find another CAD, I guess, company to come in and integrate into our system, which the CAD is a computer-aided dispatch. That's what this is about. So
Okay,
basically, the sheriff's office and the PD went through this. It's just basically a way to, it's a software system basically to let how they write reports. They can do their own reports in their car. It tracks the rigs. It tracks the, where they're at. CAD systems are for managing calls and tracking incident statuses basically. So it has nothing to do with radios.
okay,
And this isn't a county-wide system. None of the fire departments are on the CAD. As of yet. Down in the future, we hope to get to be part of it. All fire departments, not just Fairfield. But currently in this plan and the cost of this plan right now, the fire departments are not a part of that. If that makes any sense. So we had no option. We had to switch the CAD, and quite frankly, on whatever the ambulance, sheriff's department, I mean, I'm the only way I'm involved with this is because we're paying for a portion of 911 service boards, paying for a portion of the implementation of it strictly through dispatch. So we didn't, the costs are on the other entities to get them on board with the system. But it won't interfere in the future. It'll be integrated. It has nothing to do with radios.
okay. I knew you could answer that, so you did great. Perfect. I'll come up with another dumb question and see if you can answer that one too. So you guys got questions, discussion?
So if you took this iPad from the base, if you had to leave, you could take it in your personal vehicle out and it'd still work to communicate with ambulances or something?
Well, me personally,
Yeah, you personally?
in this plan, I have access on my phone.
Okay,
They're gonna set me up and give me access. And then we'll have one on base so that people can see big picture what's going on, and then each rig.
okay.
Any other questions? Sue?
No.
So do we have a motion? It's actually some reason the ticket,
Yeah,
it's number 4 in your packet,
Yeah,
even though it's set number 3. Huh? Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
Well, you need a motion. Josh's recommendation, I move that we move forward with this and get it done, correct?
So we have a motion to approve the purchase?
Yeah.
Do we have a
It's in
second?
your
Yes,
budget,
I'll
so.
second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Josh, you're still up close and personal.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Other than that, I am leaving tomorrow for a workshop, for the training program. In my opinion, unnecessary redundancy that I'm supposed to go to this course again that I already did, to get the training program going. Besides that, once I get back, or actually while I'm there, I'll be working on some of the accreditation piece to get that going. And then I still haven't heard anything back from the state yet, but she did warn me that it could potentially be a while, so still working on all of that. And hoping they get their ducks in a row soon so we can start that program. Besides that, I'm not sure if this is the time or place, but there was an interesting article on the Atomo Post this morning. You guys have had an opportunity to read that.
Not in the loop.
Maybe it's something we talk about offline, but other than that, that's all I've got.
Okay. Oh, excuse me, so. Let's see, where am I at here? Discuss and consider reappointing Michelle Manning to the Veterans Affairs Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. It's quick and sweet.
All right, discuss and consider resolution hiring Casey Miller as universal clerk in the Jefferson County Treasurer's Office. This is a replacement of an unnamed employee, I think.
It's hard to replace me.
Good point. Good point. My bad. And a starting rate of $38,400 per year, effective June 2nd, 2025. I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Discussion? Oh, this is in the treasurer's office, by the way, I apologize. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Discuss and consider hiring Emma Alhoff. Okay. For summer naturalist intern, Jefferson County Conservation. At a rate of $15 an hour. This would be from mid-May. Probably already there.
Yeah, she just started last week.
Okay. Through mid-August, an hourly rate, I think it's already set up at an hourly rate of $15. I would make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Seconded. I thought Susie seconded it.
She said
No,
so
I
moved,
made-
so.
Oh, I'm second. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I was thinking ahead.
All those in
Usually
favor
I'm
say aye.
Aye.
I need to sign this. Okay. Discuss and consider wage increase for Dane Nelson, Jefferson County Conservation. How long has he been with us, Sean?
Oh, a little over. I don't think it's been 18 months, but over a year. It might be getting close to that, though.
So would be hourly rate increase from $15 to $17 an hour.
Yes.
And this is,
Right now, he's part-time, but we're trying to work him into or develop him into maybe a more of a full-time position. Soon.
so part-time is less than 30 hours a week.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Discuss and consider HR contracts with Inks. That's in your packet under number 8. We had this conversation when Chelsea, right? When Chelsea was here.
She's on.
Huh?
She is on.
Oh,
Morning.
oh,
Yep, good morning.
that must be the C. Okay,
Yep.
it's funny how that works. Could have been B or D, but it was a C. So you all have the proposal in front of you.
I'm happy to talk through it if you'd like, Lee.
Give you another one.
So what would be the board's, have any questions or for Chelsea, or want her to discuss her proposal? Did I hear from her? Will everybody talk?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. So I'll just kind of speak to this a little bit. So right
Okay.
now, you guys pay $850 a month or a little over $10,000 a year to have our HR service. And so when I sat down and I thought about how to price this so that we can, kind of continue to explore your HR journey, I thought if my services are around $150 per hour, that's how I typically price them. I price the monthly service to be right around 3 hours of advice or work per month. So I priced the monthly service at $450, so it's about a little less than 50% reduction in cost for you. But it would kind of change the way that we operate a little bit, but it still provides that service for you.
so. I apologize in advance for this question, Chelsea, but I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Sure.
So let's say we went with the flat fee or the monthly fee of $450. And that's the equivalent of about 4 hours, right? So if we didn't, well, you're squinting.
I was looking at Christie.
Oh, okay. So we're looking at, if we don't use you for a month, but we use you 8 hours in the next month. Is it the total number of hours, I guess is what I'm asking, in regards to when we use them?
So it would just be $450 a month, and then it would be unlimited advice during that
Oh,
time. So the difference in the cost reduction is going to be who physically does the work, right? So I'm
Okay.
going to be advising your team how to do it, but it's $450 a month, regardless of how little or how much you use the service.
Okay. As opposed to $150 an hour. If we go by the hourly rate.
Yeah, like I talked about earlier, it's my intent to use this next year to prepare your team to continue to work HR, right? So like I said, I will help train them on, how to update the handbook. So we'll be, kind of training as we go for this next year.
And so this would be the contract portion would be from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2026. You, Christie, are comfortable with this, with everything?
So if we decide to keep her on like as needed. But then down the road, we wanna go monthly. First, like if we have a big project, is that an option to switch back and forth? I guess.
I would venture to say no. But we
I mean-
can, go ahead, Chelsea.
Yep, I was gonna say, I'm willing to work with you guys however you need me to. So we could figure it out kind of as we go.
Would you rather, let's just say the 6 months at the flat rate and then an hourly after that?
I guess I'm sitting here thinking,
And that's dangerous.
Abby, kick him.
Back away.
I I'm thinking we should give her the contract for the year because these girls could really, there'll be a lot of questions that come up. Plus, we as a county are going to go through a lot of things we might need the expertise of an HR. Not that you're not, but you will be, you know. I just think it's the safest thing to do. You've already cut in half at that point what you were paying.
Right. No, I agree. We have cut it in. So,
And we're gonna need them.
of course, there's, don't misunderstand how this sounds, Chelsea, but, you know, unless there's a need, there's not a need, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not compelled to make the phone call, but if you want to make the phone call.
Right.
And this would be just a 1-year deal at this point.
See how it pans out.
I would think after a year, these guys would have went through training, they would went, you know, for cooperation with Chelsea, and I think they learned a lot.
And then we could still retain it on a month, an hourly fee.
After the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because these guys also have other jobs to do, you know.
So you comfortable with that? So is that a motion?
It is.
Okay, so the motion is for the fixed monthly fee of $450 to be billed quarterly, effective July 1st of 2025 through June 30th of 2026.
With a total amount of what?
$5,400.
Correct.
Yep. I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I would like to have add some lines or whatever to this so we can have signatures, both hers and ours, if that's possible.
I'll send you over an updated contract to sign.
All righty, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
I
Thank
just think
you.
It's good practice.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thank you. Okay, the day for public hearing, we are moving to the budget work session. So we have committee reports.
Although this is not a county committee, but I am on an insurance board. The rates are continuing to go up. I believe we voted on something like 20% terms. Had a Madison Barn meeting scheduled and it's been postponed for this week. Extension Council, they're just preparing for the fair that starts the 25th of June, going through the 29th. And the other thing is with the workforce committee, the big push now is for the fact to write letters of support, which I did do for Job Corps, because Job Corps may or may not exist after 6 months. A lot of nice buildings out there, a lot of good people. Not all of them though. I'm done, Joe.
Okay. Tuesday afternoon, I attended ambulance open house from 4 to 7. Few people there. I seen Lee leaving as I was getting there. Received a call about the 1/10 project out there in Pleasant Plain and went and took care of that. Then I talked to Dwayne about it too and stuff. Thursday, Traction Thursday at the Eco Lab. Ooh. Friday morning, I happened to get invited here to the courthouse. They were bringing in the 5th grade students in 2 different sessions up in the courtroom for mock trial. And I sat in on the first one from 8:30 to 10. It was interesting to hear these kids. They had things all planned out and stuff. And it was kind of nice to get the kids introduced to the court systems.
So were you guilty or not guilty?
I was an observer. I was a heckler. I was a heckler.
Okay.
So, no, I don't know how they done that because they had sitting judges up there. Well, um, residents sitting in, and I'd see them count the ballots. Some go here, some go here, and then it was either guilty or not guilty. So I don't know how they was doing it. It was all planned out, but it was fun. The kids had a good time up there. So, and tomorrow there is a meeting at the Civic Center about scams. Stop the scammers at the convention center from 12:30. It's a lunch and learn from 12:30 to 2. And I put notices on both of these bulletin boards here in the courthouse about that. So that's all I've got, I guess.
Well, I had my favorite meeting, early childhood meeting.
And
And
you do a good job. Thank you very much
I
for doing
appreciate
that.
that. It's kind of like your workforce development thing, but there is so much up in the air right now.
Right, that's correct.
And I wrote it down and I confess, I don't understand all of it in part because I don't know what one has to do with the other, but apparently we may not be able to provide preschool transportation scholarships to all that are qualified for it or that qualify for it. Because every child will need to be registered in a daycare to have eligibility. And we're not sure that it's possible to get all the kids registered in a daycare in the time frame that's allotted to do that, which means that if they're not registered, even though they're eligible to receive a scholarship for transportation to day or to preschool, thank you. We may not be able to. It's hopefully there'll be some changes to that, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. They need to be at or below 160% poverty would apply. Schools may need to be licensed. So there's kind of a lot of balls up in the air when it comes to this, not knowing which ones to catch, I guess you'd say. The other thing is that under the new system, the money that they're using to fund childcare nurse consultants will go away. The money won't go away. They can no longer use that fund for that purpose. Again, I don't know what that's going to look like. I really have no idea. I did ask the question whether or not the board's makeup was going to change. Because there was a possibility that it would go to pretty much eliminate supervisors being on the board and would go to stakeholders. Very similar to, well, kind of similar, but not exactly the same as the makeup on the CETA board, where you have 3 categories. And I can't remember what it was now, private citizens, city, what was the other one? Low income
Right,
and supervisors, so you had 15 board members, but you had 5 from each category.
yeah.
It would be a similar makeup, except it wouldn't be supervisors, but apparently that's not going to happen at this point. 1015 transit, a lot of discussion around veterans transportation. I did speak with Ray about it when I got back. Jay talked about having to start invoicing counties, or they would have to eliminate the service. We're waiting on, we've got everything submitted for the 501c3, but we haven't heard back yet. I told Jay, I said, I'm only speaking for Jefferson County, but you can invoice us, but it's not gonna get paid. We just don't have the money. It's that simple. And the other counties then stepped up and said exactly the same thing. I did send an email off to Senator Dickey, Representative Shipley, and Representative Hayes. Senator Dickey responded, said that I should have sent it during the session. I don't disagree with him, but the reason I didn't send it during the session was I really didn't figure, my bad, but I didn't figure that with everything else they had on their plate that I would get a response at that point. He is going to turn it over to some folks up there. I've asked for the state to provide $50,000 to $75,000 in funding to help us cover this cost. If the 501c3 works, I think we can fund the rest of it out of that with what the counties already contribute. We're up to $114,000, and that's above and beyond the 25,000 that we've contributed. As is always the case, and this is not finding fault, but Wapello County is the biggest user at $45,000. Jefferson County is currently at 12,000, almost 13,000. Appaloosa is at 16,000. And as I explained to Senator Dickey, well, and the other representatives, we are the only public transit entity in the state that provides this service. It's totally 100% free. The VA verifies that they are veterans. We receive no money from the VA, even if the veteran applies for reimbursement. We don't bill the veteran. We believe it's an excellent policy, but financially, I'm not sure we'll be able to sustain it. So just wanted to give you a heads up. I had RPA afterwards. We went through the transportation plan and approved we approved the transportation plan. We followed the recommendations from the TAC committee to not approve the applications for City of Ottumwa in the City of Delta. They were expending funds that they didn't have, and we followed your guidelines or your recommendations and did not approve those at this point. So, and Joe pointed out there is that fraud and scam thing. I have an appointment in Burlington at 10:15. I hope to be back in time to go, but don't know whether or not I will.
You can come in late, because I think there's lunch to start with.
Okay.
So.
Hopefully, if everything goes right, it's my annual bladder exam, so hopefully if everything goes according to Hoyle, I'll be in and out, so to speak. And,
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go to that too.
okay,
Would we need that on our agenda to be able to do
well,
that?
we won't be
have to-
making any
Okay,
decisions,
just had to
so
say
you'll
it.
be good to go. Public comments, is that all we have, committee reports? Public comments? Hearing none, motion to allow claims and food reports in the amount of $965,087.47.
So move if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so move.
Folks falling asleep over here.
Second.
Well, I knew you hadn't had a chance to look through it all yet.
Well, I saw the highlighted portion.
Oh, okay.
That's all you need.
I seen the Gator Center on there.
Yeah. We're raising gators now, sweet.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We will take a short break. Because a short person has to,
I was thinking, not much.
Take a short break.
yeah,
I can
Yeah.
afford it probably. Yeah.
we're on Close Life and Personal, and Shannon has joined us. And Shannon wants to talk to us.
I do.
Okay,
Um.
time's up.
So I was getting ready to pay the first 3 months of insurance, the partial self-funding and the employee benefit subsidy. And realized that the initial email stating to hold that in your budget did not go to Josh because he wasn't here at that time. So he didn't know that he had to hold that in his budget and that we were gonna pay it at the end of the year. So there's gonna be a little bit of a shortfall in his budget to cover that. And at first I thought, well, we could just not send it, but then we've had remember how I told you at budget time that our partial self-funding claims were good? We've had 3 bad months since then, 3 really bad months, and I think this could be our new high year. So we really need to try and get that, everything that we were planning on sending to EBS to them. I talked to Abby and she's having a good year in her district court budget. She hasn't had very many claims. And how much did you think that you could spare?
52-ish thousand.
Okay, same,
Let's see, cash,
It's rough.
roughly.
same service area, same fund. So your fund balance would look the same. And we could do a reappropriation between the 2 departments, pulling from the district court to the ambulance. Because that is over 10% of the total district court budget that we would be decreasing the appropriations for, we would have to publish notice and hold a hearing. It's still, this is notice that I got from another county, the example. So it's a much smaller notice than what we would have to do if we do a full amendment. That would be your other option, but you know, that's a whole page and costs quite a bit to do that. So that would be my recommendation. Otherwise, Lee had an idea of, you know, how we used to just pay it out of the board's department. We used to pay all the partial self-funding and all of the employee insurance subsidies out of your department, and you do have enough budget to do that. The only thing I would caution with doing that would be it makes the cost of the ambulance look less than what it truly is, and that was the reason why we had pushed it out to begin with, so that we could see the true cost of each department. But if we did that, then we wouldn't have to hold a hearing and we wouldn't have to publish notice, so we would save the cost of that publication. It's
How much money do we have in our budget?
the insurance is about 50,000. Is that about how much? 53,000?
53,000 remaining in.
And
Yeah,
he thinks he could get by with 39 because that was, you know, he was going to be within budget before we realized that still had that to come out.
So the amount is, that you're gonna need is,
Are you?
by what again, I'm still learning all this side of things, but my calculation's about 39,000.
so just around 40-ish.
See, that's how it works.
I love it.
And then that would still leave 12 in case Abby had some claims come up for district court. And then that would allow us to get that additional funding over to EBS.
Susie asked how much we have in our budget.
Oh, sorry, I didn't even hear you say that. You still have all of that ARPA money budgeted that you're not going to spend.
We are gonna spend.
Because, well, at budget time, we were
Okay.
planning on actually expending it. And now you're not planning on expending that before June 30th.
But we will expend it before December 31st.
Right. but you won't in this fiscal year, so you have plenty of budget.
And this is specifically for insurance,
Yes,
which we could use the ARPA money for that.
yes,
Hmm.
you could.
I do.
And it wouldn't be, you wouldn't be using the ARPA money, you would just be using the budget. It would still come out of the general supplemental
Okay,
fund,
okay.
unless you want it to come out of
No,
ARPA.
I don't. I do have a question if I could do a segue for a minute. How many more weeks is Jess gonna get unemployment? How many weeks does she get total?
I
16?
don't know.
I think 16 is the figure. I would imagine she got the top amount, which is 500 and some dollars. So that'd be $8,000 that we're gonna expend. Where's that coming from?
I have no idea. That comes out of your unemployment insurance. You pay for that when you pay for your unemployment insurance, so that's already
Yeah.
out of your budget. That's the state's issue now, but it
Okay.
will impact your rates going forward.
Right,
I
right.
think the county's different on that,
We don't
yeah,
pay
we
it.
don't
You guys
actually
don't pay
pay
unemployment?
insurance, we don't pay until we
No,
have a
they
claim.
invoice us,
Oh,
they invoice us.
okay.
Yeah, so what
You're on the
that's
hook.
why I asked, we're on the hook for that.
Yeah,
So it would just be
13
aware.
weeks?
No, it's 16, isn't it?
I thought they cut it to 13.
I know it was 26 and they cut it to 16. I didn't know they cut it further.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
Yeah. So let's say it's
It happens
8,000.
more
Okay.
often than not.
Where,
is that included in this?
no,
Okay.
it should be.
So probably need a little more than that
Yeah.
then.
So back to the original.
Well, we won't be
50,000.
paying her
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah, but that wouldn't cost that much for one person. What I'm just saying is maybe we should up the amount.
Yeah, no,
40,000.
But what I'm
And-
saying is that we're not gonna pay that $1,500 or $2,100, almost $2,250. It's $750. That's what it's costing us. We're not paying her insurance. Her unemployment is just, that's all it is. We wouldn't cover the insurance. She's no longer employed. She's drawing unemployment, so she doesn't get insurance.
And she won't get the wage, which you've already replaced her.
No,
Okay,
well, kind of, yes and no.
okay. Well, I'm just saying we have to consider all that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't think about.
And we elevated it part-time to full-time.
Right, but we still have 1.5. Oh, essentially 2 full-time positions open, so.
Anyway, that's fine. So you want to bump it to
50,
50.
just to be safe.
Ish.
Yeah, ish.
I love it.
So then you'll have 2 left. You can't have any claims, Abby.
Two-ish.
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 Well, I mean, do we want to
Or we
dive
just
into
take it out of
hers
our
or do we
budget
just
rather
take it
than
out of theirs?
Services.
Well, that is the question. Yeah. So do you want to do the reappropriation from Abby's department, which you would have to publish notice of and hold your public hearing, or do you want to just pay it out of your budget?
It's in our budget, we can pay it.
It is in our budget.
Yeah. I mean, you have enough, it's not in your budget, but you have enough in your budget that you could pay for it out of yours.
And then we save some cost by not
Yeah.
having.
You would
Yeah,
save the cost
Yeah,
of
I
the
get that.
notice.
I think we have dodged a bullet on Jesse. Which I can talk about later, but not online.
I just hate that this is my first year and I'm here like Oliver Twist. He's gonna have some more, but
No, it's
it,
okay.
it annoys me.
Either you or Lee.
But I did have to spend a lot of on items that should have already been in place, so.
So make a motion to pay it out of the Board of Supervisors budget in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
I,
We have anything else?
That's it.
Motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.